Hey guys, I hope you had a good week. I know I did. I want to open up today's video with asking you a question. Have you ever gone outside and just looked at the clouds with your friends or maybe your family and just try to guess some of the shapes you saw? Maybe you saw a fox chasing a mouse, but then you asked your friend what they saw and they say that they saw a dog eating a hamburger. This can be attributed to a difference in perspective. Now, this is going to be an interesting one because today we're going to be talking about Jesus and how he walked on water. And, funny enough, there is actually three different versions of him walking on water. There's John's version, there's Matthew's version, and there's Mark's version. Now, we're going to be reading today John's version first. And I want you to follow along with me if you have a Bible. It's going to be John chapter 6, verse 16 through 21. Now, here, let me read some of it for you. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into the boat, and started across the Sea of Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were terrified. But he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." Then they wanted to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the land towards which they were going. Now, John's is the shortest version, and it's simple, gets to the point, right? So, here, let's go read Matthew's version. It's Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 through 32. So, here's the story. Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from the land, for the wind was against them. And early in the morning he came walking towards them on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost," and they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid." So now, we read a little bit about Matthew's version. Now, let's read what Mark has to say about it. And Mark's version is chapter 6, verse 45 through 51. So, immediately, he made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side, to Bethesda, while he dismissed the crowd. After saying farewell to them, he went up the mountain to pray. When evening came, the boat was out on the sea, and he was alone on the land. When he saw that they were straining at the oars against an adverse wind, he came towards them early in the morning, walking on the sea. He intended to pass them by, but they saw him walking on the sea, and thought it was a ghost and cried out, for they all saw him and were terrified. But immediately he spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Now, I want to ask you about some of the similarities there. What did you find that was similar, or what did you find that was different? For me, one of the similarities that I see is that in all of them, they are first afraid. They don't understand what's going on. They don't know why Jesus is walking water. They don't even know if it's Jesus. But another similarity is that Jesus goes and comforts them every single time. Now, this is incredible because not only is it difficult to try to imagine how they feel at this time, walking on water is not something you do every day. It's actually something that you never see, right? So, let's talk about some of the differences, though. For me, one of the main differences that I see is that Matthew's is a lot longer. It has more detail. While John's is the shortest, has the least amount of detail, but it gets right to the point. They all say the same story, just with different lengths. Now, what I want you to take away from this is that perspective is different for everyone. But even then, as long as there's the main point, which this being Jesus, it doesn't matter how you see him. At the end of the day, he won't change. He will be the same. Today, tomorrow, yesterday. No matter what happens, he's one of those that you can always trust in. I hope you have a good day, and I hope you take something from here today. So with that being said, hope to see you next time. Bye.